All right, let's talk about the Tennessee Titans, who had a potential franchise-changing draft. Obviously, the most important pick being the first overall pick, but some other interesting things to talk about. So first, just so you know what you're looking at, next to me is first the first number you will see is when they were picked, then what their name is, what position they play, and finally where they ranked according to the consensus big board. Cam Ward projected to go first, went first. And this is just it, right? Essentially, while we can talk about all this other stuff, and we will, and there's some interesting things here, really, it's all going to come down to Cam Ward. If Cam Ward is great, this is going to be known as the draft where they drafted Cam Ward. If Cam Ward stinks, this is going to be known as the draft where they missed on Cam Ward, right? That's just how it's going to work. But I like Cam Ward. I think he's a great prospect. So, yeah, we don't spend forever on him. We all know everyone's Cam Ward takes at this point. Let's talk about the rest of the picks. So first they go edge with pick 52. He was projected to go pick 57. We'll call, I'm not going to butcher the name too much, but you see, this player was someone who was, projected to be maybe an okay player as an off-ball linebacker, but wasn't necessarily considered anything too special. And in fact, it wasn't until he transferred to UCLA that they finally put him in as a edge rusher. But he looked all right there. Now, he's still such a raw prospect because he's barely had any time at edge. So maybe drafting him at 52nd because of that, it's a bit of a gamble. It is. But you know what? He has really good traits. He did impress a lot of people at the Senior Bowl. So if you can potentially get him to reach his potential, then he could actually be a better player than maybe some of the guys who went before him. But there is just that risk factor. Then with pick 82, they drafted the 69th player on the board, Kevin Winston Jr., a safety who was probably going to go higher had it not been for injuries that completely derailed his 2024 season. He was really good his 2023 season, albeit in about 500 snaps, but that's something that you like. He's kind of someone who checks every other box. Like, there's really just the injury thing, I think, is what made him fall. So, again, you hope that he fully develops, and if he does fully develop, I think he could be a pretty big steal, actually. So, yeah, for pick 82, this is a good pick. Really kind of a smart one, I think, for the Tennessee Titans to potentially get a starting caliber safety here at pick 82. Then at pick 103, so this was a reach on the consensus big board by a pretty good margin. It's Chamir DK is how you pronounce his last name, DK, that's definitely a name you want to make sure you're pronouncing correctly. Projected to go 224th, goes over 100 picks earlier. Again, that doesn't mean everything, but just traditionally, when a guy is supposed to go 200th and they go 100th, they play like a guy who is supposed to go 200th. There are exceptions, but that's usually how it works. He is someone who, the speed is great, runs a 4.3, but despite that, didn't get open a ton in college, and so you wonder, what else are you getting there? I think a lot of people thought he might be more of a special teams guy, but clearly they like him. I mean, you don't draft a guy at 103 just to be a special teams guy. They like him more than that, so we'll see how it works out. They continue to draft guys, though, that could be potential options for Cam Ward. I don't know if any of these guys are number ones necessarily, but maybe, we'll see. First you have Gunnar Helm, the tight end out of Texas, who, again, the production isn't spectacular, but he does seem to be a very good potential, receiving tight end at this point in his career. He does look the part in blocking. He does need to get a little bit, he needs to develop there a little bit for sure, but has the size, has the capability, just maybe needs to develop a little bit, is just 22, so we'll see what happens there. Alik, Manor, I still never learned how to say his name. This was a surprise that he fell a little bit. He wasn't my favorite wide receiver prospect, but I'm surprised that, thought 73rd on the consensus big board felt fair to me. Him falling to 136 is a bit of a shock. So, hey, anytime you can end up on this side of the consensus big board, it's usually a good thing, and that is what happens here. Again, the production, was he winning every rep on tape? No, he wasn't. But the reps he won were really good. And again, he's a bit more of a developmental guy, similar to some of these other players, but I do think there is some potential here. In fact, I feel like there's I can easily envision a world where he ends up being a significant piece of this offense than DK. Although, again, we'll see how exactly they want to run things and getting kind of a couple unique players. But this is the player who can win on the outside, does have pretty good size. So those are the things that I personally like about him. Next up, we have Jackson Slater, who, again, at pick 167, usually we're talking about depth players now, someone you expect to be a backup, and who knows, some of these guys end up finding their way into a starting role, but it's not something you expect. He's really interesting. If you like analytics, his pass blocking analytics are very good. The run blocking stuff, not as much. Again, also wasn't necessarily going up against the best competition. He played for Sacramento State, so congratulations to the Hornets, I suppose. But yes, for him, you have the good pass blocking. He has a good build as well. So we'll see if they can kind of get it all together. Maybe get some of the technique down. So again, another kind of developmental guy they might need to work on. At pick 183, Marcus Harris is someone who, so he's an interesting player. So he's a corner, and he is someone who at pick 183, you always, the light bulb goes off of, is this a special teams pick, right? That's what you always kind of think when we're getting this late in the draft, and it's the position of corner. I actually don't know if that's what they're doing here, though. He is a player who, the critique of him is he's not a great athlete, and he isn't a big guy either, so that's kind of the concern, but he played pretty well in college, and so for a depth piece, again, can he cover Tyreek Hill? I don't know. Or whoever you want to make your prototypical fast, good receiver. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. I don't know if he's going to be able to cover Mike Evans either. But for a depth piece at 183, I don't think it's a bad move. I really don't. And then finally, we have Kale Mullings here at pick 188. He was projected to go 231st. And this is another example of just getting a player who is just a pretty good player, right? Like, I don't know if he's going to have the athleticism to succeed. He is a bigger running back at 6'2", 233 pounds, and he might be a special teams guy to some degree. But he also did have a really good season at Michigan, and maybe they just like him and want him to be a running back for them. I don't think it's crazy that they feel like he could potentially have some talent. So for a team that had a decent amount of picks here, doesn't elect to really go too hard on special teams late in the draft class, despite a good amount of draft picks. So with 9 selections, it feels like some of these guys are going to work out. Although I don't know if there's a single slam dunk here outside of pick number 1 as well. So I think that's why this is such an interesting draft for me. It's a lot of, I can see you being a role player or even more than that. I could see you not working out altogether. So they're taking some chances, but you got to figure some of them will hit. And of course, Cam Ward's the one they need to hit. They're fine with only one pick working if it's that one. So those are my thoughts on this. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.